Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Morty and Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be asking and answering one simple question. What is the best loadout for your command squad? Whether it is the humble platoon command squad or the mighty Militarum Tempestus one, these units come with a dizzying amount of options. And for newer players and veterans alike, it can be tricky to know what weapons you should be giving these guys. What war gear and special equipment should you be taking instead of more firepower? Well, never fear, my dear conscripts, for Mordian Glory is here. And in today's episode, I'm going to take you through, step by step, my recommended loadout for each of the command squads available in the Imperial Guard. And so, without further ado, let's not mess around. Let's lift up the rock and have a little peek underneath and dive right into today's episode. So the first command squad that we're going to take a look at is the Cadian one. This is the latest command squad option available to guard commanders, and it's one that comes in the combat patrol. So it felt only right to take a crack at this one first. Now we will begin with taking a look at what the unit composition and weapon options are available for this squad. Each squad comes with one Cadian commander and 4 Cadian veteran guardsmen. The Cadian commander as standard comes equipped with a las pistol and chainsword. One of the veterans also comes with a las pistol and chainsword, and then you've got one Cadian veteran guardsman with a master vox and a las gun, another one with a medipack and a las gun, and the final one with a regimental standard and a las gun. Now, when it comes to player choice and war gear options, you can swap your regimental standard and las gun for either a flamer, grenade launcher, melter gun, or plasma gun. So you can basically choose between the king's colours and having a special weapon gunner in the squad. You can then take the Cadian, the basic one, which is the las pistol and chainsword, and you can take his chainsword and swap that out for either another melee weapon, like a power fist or a power weapon if you want a bit more choppy, or you can drop the chainsword and instead go for another special weapon, like a flamer, grenade launcher, melter gun, or plasma gun. That same veteran also gets some interesting pistol choices. So you can get rid of his las pistol and he can have a bolt pistol or a plas pistol. This is kind of interesting because it means that if you swap his chainsword with a shooty weapon and then you swap his las pistol with the plas pistol, you could actually end up with a guy that runs around with like a plasma gun and a plas pistol, or a melter gun and a plas pistol, or a grenade launch plas pistol. It's interesting. I think you're always going to use that main special weapon if you do go down the shooty route, but it is important to note because having that plas pistol, if you find yourself tied up in combat, could allow you to shoot it, and that could allow you to maybe do a bit of extra damage when you're meant to be locked up and your opponent's trying to reduce your damage output. Anyway, moving on, we then get to the Cadian commander, and he can swap his las pistol and chainsword out for the usual bolt pistol, plasma pistol, power fist, power weapon. So now that we know what all the different options are, we now need to determine what the best loadout is. And for me personally, it's pretty straightforward when it comes to the Cadian command squad because a lot of your choices are already locked in. You can't swap anything out with the medipack guy or the master vox, so they're locked in. So it really comes down to the final 3 models, and I would say that the best all-round take all comers choice is going to be the Cadian command squad with an officer with a plasma pistol and power fist. They're just the most powerful options you've got for that officer. There's no point in taking the less good ones because there's no points discount for doing so. You then want to take the Cadian veteran with a regimental standard and las gun. You don't want to get rid of that regimental standard. Having additional OC, objective control, can be very powerful. Think about what your Cadian squads are likely to be doing. Pushing on to objectives and trying to lock them down and hold them. Anything that allows them to do that job even better is just brilliant. I've been to a number of tournaments now recently where I've really focused on my objective control and just being able to completely dominate on it, have to the point where even if you've got 3 or 4 guardsmen on an objective, that still means like 9 or 12 OC, thanks to the fact that the command squad with the flag is giving you that bonus OC. It's just amazing. So I'd always go with the regimental standard. And then it comes down to the gunner, to the veteran guardsman that you can give special weapons or you can give combat weapons to. I think that when you look at your Cadian command squad and you look at the unit they're going to be leading, they're really a shooty squad more than a close combat unit. Lead the combat to things like Catachans led by Strachan, or to Death Corps Krieg units that can actually get power swords on their sergeants. You can't do that with your Cadian shock troopers. So I would say you want to go for a plasma gun or a grenade launcher for your special weapon. Really, you want that special weapon to match what you're giving your Cadian shock troopers, and they should always be taking plasma guns and grenade launchers in the new edition of 40k. So overall, I think the best loadout for your Cadian command squad is 1 man with a regimental standard, 1 man with a grenade launcher, your officer with a plasma pistol and power fist, a man with a medipack and a lasgun, and another man with a master vox and a lasgun. Final little honorable mention, secondary loadout. If you are finding yourself going up against a lot of combat armies and you don't quite have the capacity to shoot them down before they get to you, and inevitably it's going to start getting too up close and personal, having the ability to have 2 men with plasma pistols and power fists in the squad, that's both the Cadian veteran guardsman and the officer, is quite tasty. And at the end of the day, whether it's an officer with the power fist or it's a guardsman with the power fist, you're still going to get 3 attacks out of each one. So 6 power fist attacks is definitely not something to turn your nose up at, but I don't know if it would make a huge difference. It wouldn't be able to skew you towards going pure combat with the Cadians. So it gets an honorable mention that you can do the double power fist blob, but for me, I think you want to be focusing on objectives and you want to be focusing on a bit more firepower. But that covers the Cadians. Now let's move on to the big toy soldiers, the Militarum Tempestus Command Squad. Now your Scions are going to operate a little differently to your foot sloggers, principally because they deep strike. So most of the time you're not going to be, well, in fact, I would say almost every time, you're not going to be foot slogging Scions across the board. So there's less of a focus on orders and objective play, and there's more of a focus on going for doing damage. So let's take a look at the weapon options we've got first. Each command squad comes with a Tempesta Prime and 4 Tempestus Scions. The Tempesta Prime comes with a bolt pistol and a Tempestus Dagger. Tempestus Dagger basically operating as a chainsword. Each Tempestus Scion is equipped with a hotshot lasgun and a close combat weapon. So you'll notice right away off the bat here, we don't have those preordained, predetermined loadouts like this veteran comes as standard with a standard, this one comes as standard with a medipack, this one comes as standard with a master vox. No, you get 4 riflemen and you get an officer, and then you get to just basically go wild with the war gear options. And those options include any number of Tempestus Scions can each have their hotshot lasgun replaced with one of the following: a flamer, a grenade launcher, a hotshot volley gun, a melt gun, or a plasma gun. But you cannot select the same weapon from this list more than once per unit. That means you can't have 2, 3, 4 flamers in one squad. You have to pick a flamer, a grenade launcher, a hotshot volley gun, a melt gun, or a plasma gun. 1 of each weapon per squad. You can just go straight up all special weapons if you want to, but there are some other war gear options. You get some specialist equipment. You can take a Tempestus Scion with a hotshot lasgun and just give him a regimental standard, and you can then also take a Tempestus Scion with a hotshot lasgun and replace that hotshot lasgun with a las pistol, hotshot las pistol I should say, and a master vox. You can then take a Tempestus Scion who's got a hotshot lasgun and swap that out with a las pistol and medipack. This means that you can actually have a Scion who's got both the standard and the Medipack in one go. And finally, the Tempesta Prime could swap out his bolt pistol for a plasma pistol or a command rod. Just a little side note, the command rod is a unique bit of equipment that the Scions get, so I think it's worth just covering it in detail here. While the bearer is leading a unit, the unit can be affected by up to 2 orders at the same time. This means that you can essentially kind of Kazakin or Creed a unit of Scions that's being led by someone with a command rod. It's an alright ability, but bear in mind that the Tempesta's commander can only do 1 order. It's okay, it's not great. You could start looking at giving the Tempesta Grand Strategist so he can do 2 orders, but frankly I feel like that ability is used much better elsewhere, either on a platoon command squad that's going to be supporting some mortars, or on a tank commander who can be supporting more tanks. So for me, straight off the bat, I'm going to say I'm not a fan of the command rod in the Tempesta's command squad. But now let's get back on track. What is the best loadout for your stormtroopers? Well, it's important to remember what I said earlier. Scions, they're about doing damage, and they don't really mess around with orders, because they're going to drop down or jump out of their Torx Prime, do some damage, and then die, then get reinforcements back in. And so there's going to be very few opportunities for your command phase to really include many orders as a Scion commander. Second thing to mention is that you're probably going to be taking Scion command squads when you're running a Scion heavy or pure Scion army. Outside of specific circumstances, you're probably going to find that you don't really need your Scion command squads in a hybrid guard army, because your Scions in that circumstance are probably just going to be dropping down little 5-man squads doing objectives. So the command squad, really, you want to be looking at it through the lens of a pure Scion or Scion heavy force. And with that in mind, we need these guys to do 2 things. Firstly, we want them to enhance what the Scions already do best, which is do more damage. And secondly, we want to try and fix the Scion's anemic OC value, because even if you do take a Tempesta's command squad as your warlord, which then allows you to take Scions as battle line, and then you can get 6 squads of them, your Scions themselves still only have an objective control of 1, which is pretty weak, unfortunately, and does mean that you won't have OC domination, which is something that most guard armies strive for. Most guard armies want that. So we want to fix those 2 things. In regards to the latter with the OC, I think it's a no-brainer. Considering you can take a regimental standard in the command squad, you want to do that. That means that any command squad that you attach to a squad of Scions is suddenly going to give them all a bonus OC. Even if they get battle shocked, you're still going to have good OC as well. So that's a no-brainer. Now, what's interesting is you might as well then take the Medipack on that guy as well, because you can't give him a special weapon. So you take the regimental standard guy, and he can also take a Medipack. So that just makes sense. You're getting a 2-in-1 bloke there, which is just brilliant. And so that's your first guy. He's got a Medipack in one hand, flag in the other. Then we're going to have our Tempesta Prime. Well, you were not going for the command rod, so that means we might as well replace his crappy bolt pistol with a plasma pistol, just a straight upgrade. And then we get to the final 3 guys in the unit. And I think you want to go plasma gun, melter gun, and hot shot volley gun. Now, I am a big fan of the grenade launcher when it comes to regular command squads. It's got good range, and it's got good strength, good punch, all that kind of thing. But again, remember the circumstances that your Scion command squads are going to find themselves in. They're going to be up close and personal with the enemy, jumping out of Torx, dropping down. They're not going to be fighting at range most of the time. These aren't Kazakin. They're going to be smashing the entire area, killing anything with more than 2 legs. So that, in that regard, the melter gun is more valuable, because it's the same strength as the crack grenade launcher, but it's got the better damage and it's got a better AP, and the range isn't a problem because Scions don't have an issue with getting right into the face of the enemy.
Attention guardsmen, this is an announcement by the Departamento Militarum. Element Games is an official sponsor of the Mordian Glory channel. They offer up to 20% off Warhammer 40k and 10% off bolt action and other game systems. Use the link down in the description to save money and support the channel. Anyone not using the link will be referred to the local commissariat. Also, don't forget that if you use referral code TIM3921, then you will receive double store credit, saving even more money on your future purchases. That's all for now. Fallout!
But now let us move on to our last unit of this video. Certainly not the least one though. It is the Platoon Command Squad. Now, this unit is a real doozy. It's unbelievably tactically flexible. It can do anything from being strangely good in close combat to actually having fantastic fire support to really being able to keep you going on that objective game. Platoon Command Squads can be tailored for almost any situation. And so it does make it quite difficult when it comes down to trying to pick out what the final loadout of this unit should be. But we're going to give it a go. Let's start off with going through the truly impressive amount of war gear options and unit compositions that you've got with this thing. So each Platoon Command Squad can consist of either one Platoon Commander and 4 Veteran Guardsmen, or 1 Platoon Commander, 2 Veteran Guardsmen, and 1 Veteran Heavy Weapon team. The Platoon Commander as standard is equipped with a las pistol and close combat weapon, and every Veteran Guardsman is equipped with a las gun, las pistol, and close combat weapon. And if you decide to take a Veteran Heavy Weapon team, it comes as standard with a heavy bolter, las pistol, and close combat weapon. You'll notice that similar to the Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, that there's a lot more flexibility when it comes to the loadouts here. There's very little that has been predetermined for you. You basically get 5 blokes and you can kind of equip them how you want. Now, as with the Tempestus Command Squad, you can equip a whole load of special weapons here. Any number of Veteran Guardsmen can each have their las gun replaced with one of the following, but you can't take the same weapon more than once unless it is a chainsword. So you can take a flamer, a grenade launcher, a heavy flamer, which is cool, a melter gun, a plasma gun, or sniper rifle, or you can take a chainsword. But you can only take one each of the shooty weapons, but you can give every Veteran Guardsman a chainsword if you want to. So you can literally have your guys running around with 4 chainswords and then another chainsword or a power weapon on the officer, which is actually kind of cool because the chainsword gives you an extra attack. So you could have like 15 chainsword attacks coming out of this like one unit. And if you like combine that with maybe like Catachans, so you put the Platoon Command Squad unit Catachans, suddenly those chainswords are going to be AP -1, strength 4, because the Command Squad and the Catachan unit abilities merge together. And then if Straken's in there, you might have like lethal hits as well. It's genuinely possible to make a combat orientated Command Squad. It's very, very cool. But before I start blathering on about my love affair for combat guard command squads, let's look at some of the other war gear options we've got. The special equipment. 1 Veteran Guardsman equipped with a lasgun or chainsword can be equipped with a Master Vox. 1 Veteran Guardsman equipped with a lasgun or chainsword can be equipped with a Medipack. 1 Veteran Guardsman equipped with a lasgun or chainsword can be equipped with a Regimental Standard. So that's pretty similar to the Cadian one. Whereas the Cadian one, it's like these are fixed loadouts. The Platoon Command Squad says, look, you can take all the special weapons that you want, or you can go down that more traditional route by taking some of these support items instead. As for the Platoon Commander, he can swap out his las pistol for a bolt pistol, bolt gun, or plasma pistol, and the Platoon Commander can be equipped with one of the following: a power fist or power weapon. Remember that the Platoon Commander only comes equipped with a las pistol and close combat weapon standard, so it's not like you get to have a chainsword and a power fist or power weapon. Interestingly, it looks like the Platoon Commander can't actually take a chainsword. He can take a power fist, a power weapon, or a close combat weapon, which is a bit quirky, but I guess you probably would never take that chainsword if you didn't have to. You'd always go for the power weapon or power fist, wouldn't you? And then finally, we get to the Veteran Heavy Weapon team. So if you've chosen to take one of those, You can swap out the heavy bolter for an autocannon, a lads cannon, a missile launcher, or a mortar. Now that is a huge amount of options. And even for a veteran player like me, the different combinations and possibilities are whizzing through my head. And it's really difficult to know what final loadout we should go for. But let's take a step back and consider what the unit is going to be doing. And in my mind, it's got two battlefield roles. A platoon command squad is either going to be part of a unit that is storming forward, taking the fight to the enemy, pushing onto the middle objectives. Maybe it's going to be part of a Catachan, or it's going to be part of a Krieg unit. Or it's going to be forming part of a Supreme Command blob. This is where you take the Lord Solar, you take a command squad, and then you take a squad of infantry, you merge them all together, and you get a unit that allows the Lord Solar to do orders 24 inches away. I've actually done a video covering this particular tactic already. So when considering the former scenario, where we're building a storm squad to take objectives, we want to be focusing on two things: close range damage and objective control. Starting at the top with the platoon commander, I think it's obvious. Plasma pistol, power fist. It just makes him an actual threat, both at short range with the pistol and close combat with the fist. Then we get to the guardsman, and I think you go for one guy with a regimental standard to increase the OC, very similar to how we discussed that with the Scions and also especially with the Cadians. And then we go for a medipack. The medipack will give us a 6-up feel no pain. It's not great. A 5-up feel no pain is much better, but getting those 6s just when it matters, saving a casualty here and there, might just make the difference between you controlling an objective and you not controlling one. But then we get to the last two guardsmen, and I'm going to go for a controversial one here. I don't think we take the Master Vox. Think about it. The officer is just going to be doing an order to the squad that he's leading. They're storming an objective together. He doesn't need to do orders 24 inches away. Sure, there might be a niche scenario. There might be that one battle out of 20 where you wish you could do that long-range order, but it's not going to be the majority of the time. And if we're building a efficient loadout, it needs to be good for most of the games, not for the occasional one-off situation. And so I would say the last two guards when you give special weapons, and I would personally go for a melter gun and a plasma gun. There's definitely some merit to taking a heavy flamer and a flame if you lean some Catachans, or maybe like a grenade launcher, but for me I think the classic melter gun plasma gun gets the job done. You're going to get lots of good shots between the plasma pistol, the plasma gun, and the melter gun at close range. Remember, that's where we're going. We're going mid-board. And if the enemy doesn't want to contest the objective, we're just going to sit on it with all our blokes and have a great time anyway. So either it gives us good damage and allows us to do what we need to do, or we're just going to be able to take an objective uncontested anyway. So for me, the more damage just makes sense. And speaking of more damage, what I would actually go for, and this might also sound a bit spicy, is those guardsmen that we gave the medipack and the standard to, don't give them las guns. Give them chainswords. Because a couple of extra las guns probably won't make a difference, but getting a few more close combat attacks might just. Being able to have just that tiny bit more close combat potential, so that when you unleash a good barrage of fire onto an enemy Space Marine unit and there's still a couple of those bastards standing around, you can fix bayonets, get in there, and you might just be able to get the job done, especially if you're taking Catachans, because then you'd be strength 4 and you'd be extra AP on those attacks as well. So just to be clear, the final loadout that I recommend for a platoon command squad that is storming the mid-board would be one veteran with a melter gun, one veteran with a plasma gun, one veteran with a chainsword and medipack, one veteran with a chainsword and regimental standard, and a platoon commander with a plasma pistol and power fist. But then we get over to the other scenario that we talked about, where you're part of a Supreme Command blob, and the loadout for this one is going to be focused on doing damage at range. Really, the command squad and the whole blob should just be sitting out of line of sight most of the time, just putting out the orders and only occasionally peeking out for maybe a last turn objective snatch and grab. With this in mind, I think that you want to be taking the platoon command squad with the commander, the 2 veteran guardsmen, and the heavy weapon team. I think you should give the heavy weapon team a mortar. That way they can actually do some sort of damage whilst hiding out of line of sight. And then when it comes to the other 2 guardsmen, I think you want to go for a Master Vox guy with a lasgun. And because that obviously is fundamental to allowing the Lord Solar to do his orders 24 inches away as well. And then you want to have 1 guy with a medipack. You might think going with something long range like a grenade launcher or a sniper rifle would be more useful. But I feel like the medipack is a good insurance option. Occasionally, someone is going to be able to get some precision on you. Occasionally, you might end up having to be a little bit more aggressive. Occasionally, the enemy might just get the drop on you. Having that 6 up feel no pain means that if things do go slightly wrong, at least you've got a card in your back pocket that should help keep your Lord Solar alive. Also, if the enemy's got any indirect fire, it'll help protect you against that as well by giving you an extra layer of defense. As for the platoon commander, really he shouldn't be getting into a fight, but if he has to, I think your best option here is going to be, again, a plasma pistol and a power fist. I did briefly consider the bolt gun, but no. I think the plasma pistol and power fist, again, they're kind of like the medipack, they're insurance options. If someone manages to deep strike something in, maybe get close to you, start shooting you up, the best thing that you can probably do in that situation is turn around, fix bayonets, and just get in amongst them. Use the Lord Solar's sword, use the power fist, and use the plasma pistol to be able to actually sweep away that backfield threat. The bolt gun being able to do something at range doesn't really matter because he's probably going to be hiding out of line of sight unless something's gone wrong. And that, my dear conscripts, covers all of my recommended loadouts for every command squad you can take in the Guard. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are there any weapons that I've overlooked that you think really should be included? And do you have a particular loadout that you think gets the job done? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the Call of Duty. So a massive thank you to Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, August Vardy, and the Tommies. Thank you guys. Your incredible support makes a huge difference, and it is a big part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.